Right then, here we are using Jape, Jape's fantastic online PSION Organiser emulator, to demonstrate the operation of the QuizPack. Details of how to get the QuizPack are in the links below. After you've inserted the QuizPack into one of the two free slots on the back of your organiser, in this case I'm using slot B, you press on the keyboard to get the quiz option to appear in the main menu. Before we actually go into the quiz, let's have an overview of the help files that are in the LZ notepads. There's three help files: QQuiz, and gives an overview of the supplied questions database files that are on the pack. QFooty is an 84 questions football quiz. For you chaps in America, that's soccer of course. QGeneral, that's a general knowledge questions. QGrammar, that's a level 1 English grammar quiz. QHistory, that's about ancient and modern history. QInvents is about inventors and inventions. QOPL, that's a strange one, that's all about organiser programming language, quite a specialised quiz. QScion, that's 20 questions about the PSION Organiser itself. QScience, that's 25 questions or so about science. And QTalk, that's an English language level 1 quiz. Quiz, at the end of the list, that's added onto the pack so that the program will know that you haven't actually swapped one of the question files above into memory A, and it will alert you to that and tell you to do so. The next notepad file in the list is QHelp. QHelp gives an overview of each of the quiz menu items. Quiz, that opens the database in memory and asks you some questions. Swap and DIR, they're used to look through the questions databases on any pack, A or B or C, and to swap one of them into memory A for use as the questions. You press Mode to change from A to B to C. Time shows the time taken to complete the last quiz. This is overwritten after each quiz is completed or just before the next one starts. So if you're in a competition, you need to make sure that you write down each person's score before the next one starts. Also, there's no time recorded if you quit partway through a quiz. And as an aside, the calculator menu, memory 9, that's used to store the time in seconds for use by the quiz. So if when you're using your calculator you change the value of memory 9, you may find some strange results next time you start up your quiz. Help, that directs you to these help files. And RAM shows the amount of memory free on any device, A, B or C. And clear clears out all the database information from pack A to free up the space that you might need for other things. It doesn't clear any of the information off any data pack in B or C. The last of the three quiz help files is QuizQuiz. That notepad file gives you information on what you do when you're actually operating the quiz itself. It reminds you to swap a question database from a pack into memory A. It reminds you to press a down arrow key when a question is displayed so you can read the answers. And it reminds you to press an up arrow key to when the answer is displayed if you want to reread the question. It tells you to press 1, 2 or 3 for the answer you think is correct, and then you'll be informed if you were correct or not. If you weren't correct and you didn't get the question right, then that question will be asked again later. You won't finish till you've answered all the questions correctly. You use Mode to display your score, and you press On and Yes to exit the quiz. So, I think it's about time we actually had a look at one of the quizzes itself. So, if we insert the pack into B, as I've done in this case, and we press On Clear to get the quiz menu item on the main menu. If I enter it, then we go into quiz, and there we've got quiz, swap, DIR, the ones we've just been talking about. If I enter quiz now, now that I know that it's not ready, it opens the quiz file on the pack, which tells me that, tells you as the user that you haven't yet swapped a file from a pack into memory ready to be used. So that's what we'll do now. We'll go into swap, and when we go into swap, it looks for the quiz database files. They all start with the letter Q on any pack, A, B or C, and it goes through them. If I want to swap one of these in and ask questions on it, I press S, and that swaps that file into memory A, ready to be used as a questions database. So now when I enter quiz, it actually opens that file in memory A and asks me the questions, not necessarily asking all the questions in the same order. It definitely doesn't start with the first question in the list, and it never asks the questions in the same order, so that no two people will end up exactly the same quiz. They will get the same questions eventually, but not necessarily in the same order. When you press the down arrow, it displays the answer, and when you press the up arrow, you'll reread the question again if you need to. It tells you whether you got the question correct, and then goes on to the next question. 5% on the screen shows me that 5% of 20 questions means I've got one question right. I get another one right, so that goes up to now 10%, and on till you get all the questions right in the quiz. If you, like we're getting, fed up and you want to come out of it, then you'll press on and yes to exit from the actual quiz itself. Let's have a go at that now. We press on and yes, and we exit out of the quiz program. Because what I want to look at now is I want to think about, what if you want to write your own questions database? Because we have had a couple of people who've said, great this Martin, I need to write my own. The first thing to do is to have a look at the structure of each of the databases that's used for the question. We're going to use X files, which is on the PSION Organiser, and we'll open up one of the files. We'll open up the main file that's actually, the quiz file that's actually on drive A in the main memory. So when we open quiz and we use find to find the first record in the file, then there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fields in a record. The first one 0, 1, then 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, so forth. That's a counter, so that if you change something, you can resort them back into order. The next field, that's the questions field, and that's 60 characters long, and it's formatted in such a way that the words don't split over lines. That's why you can see extra spaces in those lines. It shows how they line up. The next three fields, they're the answers, and the last field there, the number 2, that shows you the number of the correct answer. Which of those 3 answers is the correct one? So now we're looking at number 2. Again, you can see there that the 2 words tied together means that must be where a line splits. Those are the 3 answers, and then the number 3, is it? Yep, that tells me that that's the correct answer for that question. And you can have as many questions as you want. I think I've put a limit of 99 or 100 in the actual program. So you will be able to write your own database. The screen on the right there gives you an example of what's happening with the operating instructions, the technical stuff. It outlines the structure of the files. It outlines all the files that are on the data pack, so you can actually examine the Organiser database files yourself if you want. And it gives you an example of how you might want to lay out a notepad file to help you to write the questions and get the questions formatted in such a way that they display properly on the screen. The pack comes with a set of comprehensive instructions to help you sort it all out. So that's it. Good luck.